My name is Jeremy. I'm a library programmer with the RPL. Welcome to our program, Why Electric Cars Are Better in Winter. Our presenter tonight is James Whittingham. James is a longtime comedic presence in Regina, starting with the James and Kevin Show in the 1990s. His comedy segments with Kevin Allardyce aired nationally, while their success culminated in hosting vignettes throughout the 1987 season of Just for Laughs on CBC television. In the aughts, after several TV pilots, he moved to blogging and podcasting. In the past decade, he has returned to his roots in cinema as a comedic writer and actor. His screen credits include Wolf Cop, Archie, and his starring role as James Pittman in The Sabbatical, now streaming on Prime. In 2019, James has been advocating for green technology and is an opinion writer for CBC Saskatchewan. He is currently helping write Ryan Stockton's follow-up to The Sabbatical, due to be released in 2021. This is James Whittingham's third winter driving an electric car in Regina, and he can't remember how to use a gas pump. If you'd like to continue learning about this topic, we have a number of different books on climate change that you can check out after the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I will be handing out evaluation forms for you to fill out. Tonight's talk will be followed by a film screening of Revenge of the Electric Car, if you're interested in staying. I hope you all have a great time this evening.
I'm told we're 4 short from the fire code maximum. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. And this is my first PowerPoint presentation. So we'll see how it goes. If the technical aspects fall apart, I'll be doing some interpretive dance on the stage for electric cars. So I am a comedian, and I'm not an expert in electric cars, but I do own one. And I was asked to do this. I was asked to do this primarily because I posted a viral clip on the internet. It wasn't that viral. My kids laugh when I say it's viral, but for me it's viral. It was about starting a car on the day that it went down to -42, and people were just blown away by that. So there seems to be some perception that electric cars don't work in winter. So this is going to be an interactive night. How many people here already own an electric car? Good, because I'm going to be calling on you later. Going to be moving around Donahue style. We're 3 short of the fire code now. So if anyone's expecting more than 2 people, they're out of luck. They actually can't come. It's that popular. This here is a laser pointer, and I will blind you if anyone gets unruly. Apparently you can point at things. That'll be new. I made 230 slides for your viewing pleasure tonight. I started in August. It's really all I've been doing. And yeah, we're gonna have a fun time because we're gonna watch a movie later, a free movie, which started the electric car revolution that we're in right now. You can see the very beginnings of it from 8 years ago. And you can see them discussing making my car that he saw me. So afterwards we'll have a Q&A, and I'll bring down the electric vehicle owners who are willing to come down, maybe all of them. I'm going to ask them some questions, and you can ask us questions as a group instead of just asking me, because there's a wide variety of cars that people own and a wide variety of experiences that they have. So let's see if my clicker works. Slide number 2. 238 to go, just so you know. This is who I am. That was pretty much covered. None of this stuff gave me the income to actually buy an electric car, or any car for that matter, but it's what my life has been. I was raised in Saskatchewan, was born in Ontario, and I've got a couple of kids, so that's part of our household driving scenario. I do have solar on my roof for the last couple of years. I did buy a passive solar house that was built in 1979. It's not really up to our modern passive solar standards at all, but they were doing their best back then, and currently have no pets. So there's some things I want you to keep in mind before we go forward. These are just little things that we're going to have to keep in mind, because you're going to wonder about different aspects of electric cars, and you might get cynical at some point, but these things will cover your cynicism. The batteries in electric vehicles are very large and very costly to make. And sometimes in the early days, I don't think they are anymore, but they were as much as half the price of a car. So if you consider the fact that the battery is half the price of an electric car, even if you take an engine out of the car, electric car is basically a normal car with the engine and transmission and tailpipe and stuff like that. We are at the fire code maximum. People are going to start being turned away. If someone could film that for me, it would be good. So I could take this show on the road. People being turned away from my presentation would be nice. Battery prices have been consistently falling upwards of 20% a year, 18 to 20% a year. So every year, since the electric cars obviously haven't taken off, but the battery prices have been falling 20% a year. So if the battery makes up half the price of the car, and half of that price is going down 20% a year, you might think electric cars are expensive. Well, they're pretty close to the same cost as a normal car if you factor in the operational costs already. And then the sticker price is going to be the same as an electric, or as a normal combustion car soon, within probably 3 years, depending on the class of cars. And then they're going to be cheaper. And I'm here tonight to tell you that they are better. That's what my presentation is about. They're also becoming lighter, and we'll talk lots about this tonight. They're holding more energy in the same space. So you can think of like a AA battery that holds twice the power of an old AA battery. That's pretty much where we're at. And it's the same price, or it's coming down. So batteries are getting cheaper every year. The range in EVs are getting larger for the same price. I have a very early EV. I'll talk about that in a second. And they're charging faster and faster. So let's begin our journey of discovery. I've been interested in electric cars my entire life. It's just something that has been a part of my life since I was a kid. But electric cars didn't exist when I was a kid, so where did that come from? There's been a conception for my entire life. I was born in 1966, I'm 53 years old. That whole time, there was an expectation that electric cars were coming, that it was going to clean up the air, and it was the natural evolution of cars was going to be electric. This was the year I was born, 53 years ago. I think it was in Popular Science. And you can see that they have a large article on electric cars, and they're coming, it's saying. This thing here is actually, I think it's a lead acid battery, because they didn't have lithium ion. Lithium ion was invented in the 70s and perfected in the 90s. So what they were looking at is, two motors here, and this is basically what an electric car is, although they thought that since you didn't need an engine, they'll just chop off the front of the car. And that takes away, that makes it kind of dangerous. But they weren't thinking about danger and safety much back then. There was no seat belts involved. So all the way back to the year I was born, electric cars have been promised, and even before then. But this is scientific evidence that I can prove to you that the year I was born, they were coming out with electric cars any day. So my whole life, you hear about it all the time. I was a person who watched the news with my parents. I'd occasionally hear about electric cars and the need for them. And in fact, Henry Ford, after he built the Model T, was working with Edison to build a long-range electric car, but nothing came of it. And the reason is because the battery technology really wasn't there. They thought and hoped that it was, but it wasn't, and my God, did it take a long time. In the 70s, there was concerns about oil and the embargoes and such. And when I was a kid, I was watching TV a lot and watching the news, and I saw the air pollution problems in California, and I thought, well, this is a problem that can be solved because electric cars are coming, right? I had an electric car in 1970 when I was 5. It didn't go very fast, but I actually had one, and I thought it was pretty damn cool because it was quiet and it didn't pollute the living room. So all this other stuff happened in in 1976, Congress was actually saying, hey, let's get on this. Let's put some money into having the companies develop even hybrid cars. I didn't know until recently that they were actually trying to make hybrid cars for a long time. And it took until about 1997 before Toyota released a version of the Prius in Japan, and 2000 before the Prius came here. In '88, GM sort of got more serious about it, and they started their EV1 program, and that came out in around 1997, I think, the EV1. It was a freakish little teardrop car. They made not too many of them. They only leased them for 3 years, and then they destroyed them. You couldn't buy it. They took them back from the celebrities and the eco-friendly people who wanted them, and they crushed them. And that is the focus of the first film of this 2-film series, Who Killed the Electric Car. What we're watching tonight is the sequel to that, The Revenge of the Electric Car, which came out just a couple years later. So in 1990, California passed some regulations, as they are now, and the federal government fought them, as they are now. And but EVs really weren't ready for prime time, at least long-range EVs. So a quarter century ago, in 1995, this was part of our pop culture always, that electric cars were being killed by big oil or the government, but they were near to coming. So I'm going to show you this clip. You may remember it.
Who controls the British crown? Who keeps the electric system down? We do. We do. Who gets elected off the bats? Who keeps the Martians under wraps? We do. We do. Who holds back the electric car? Who makes Steve Gutenberg a star? We do. We do. Who robs St. Bishop their sight? Who rigged every Oscar night? We do. We do.
Wow, this is working. I'm impressed. We're going to get through this evening after all. So yeah, it's constantly there. I found this the other night when I was watching a rerun of 30 Rock on Netflix or Prime, and it's got a joke is that there's an island somewhere with Donahue and the electric car. That was 2007. So a couple of years later, things started to change. So these were some of the early electric cars that came out in the late 90s. This one is the EV1 from General Motors that they let be leased for 3 years, and then they crushed them all. And this is the Toyota RAV4. They didn't make a whole lot of these. They made them mostly, or maybe even exclusively in California. They were even talking about making them in Canada. And the people who have them, some of them still have them from 1997, and they love them. They don't have a very long range, but the technology of electric vehicles is very simple and very smooth and quiet and fast, and all that stuff is there regardless of what kind of electric vehicle you have. This is the first Who Killed the Electric Car. I'm going to show you the trailer for it so you can get a taste of it, and you can look up that film on your own if you like. I can do this.
In 1996, electric cars began to appear on roads all over California. They were quiet and fast, produced no exhaust, and ran without gasoline. 10 years later, these futuristic cars were almost entirely gone. What happened? Why should we be haunted by the ghost of the electric car?
exciting thing about this is the cost of operating the car is the same as if you were driving a typical gasoline car, but the gasoline only costs 60 cents a gallon.
I plug it in at night, and when I need to drive it, I unplug, drive it away.
Believe it or not, that sucker goes. That thing will take you so fast you can get a ticket.
Wow, I didn't know this existed. How come I don't know about this? Well, have you seen this on TV?
People who control the marketplace today, the oil companies, have a strong incentive to discourage alternatives.
They make too much money with their technological stagnation in the internal combustion engine.
For the last 15 years, they've been telling us the fuel cells are 10 to 15 years old.
There's still roughly 1 trillion barrels worth of oil in the Earth's crust. That's $100 trillion worth of business yet to be done.
General Motors made a commitment to the Hummer because they could see the Hummer would make them money.
The electric vehicle is not for everybody. It can only meet the needs of 90% of the population.
We're up against the automobile industry, the oil industry. It's David versus Goliath.
Who killed the electric car? Lack of corporate wisdom.
In my opinion, it's big oil.
The murder was committed by the General Motors company.
What's interesting, you're going to be shredding some new cars. Why are you shredding them up?
A little bit of a mystery, really.
That seems like a shame.
I think it will go down as one of the biggest blunders in the history of the automotive industry.
Okay, Chris Pine is the filmmaker, and that came out in 2006, and 5 short years later he had a sequel showing the dawn of the age that we're in now, and the behind-the-scenes look at that. So yeah, Elon Musk had a lot to do with this, of course. He was discouraged by the EV1 demise, and he decided he was going to make his own electric car, and he was going to prove that they were fun and exciting and not weird. So that was his mission, and of course he succeeded. This is a video that Tesla, it's a low quality video that they put out at the time, just showing what the user experience is from the first people who were driving some of the early Tesla, which was a sports car. It was an expensive sports car. That was their mission plan, is to start with an expensive sports car and work their way down, and they've progressed. So let's just have a look at what people thought. Or not. Okay. I will use my laser if anyone gets it on the way.
If you could compare a line of Corvettes driving up Highway 1, and they're all, getting their engine, and then you see a line of Teslas, and you can still hear the birds in the ocean, and you see the cars moving, but you don't hear anything. I think that's a big statement right there.
You know, you're used to driving and sort of seeing some scenery, but it's another thing to be able to hear what's going on around you and to be able to smell the trees when they're blue.
There's all this fabulous technology underneath the computers, I guess, and it just seamlessly blends into the car itself such that your experience is transparent.
There's no motor and explosions and things getting in the way. It's your foot directly to the tires.
The car is an extension of my legs, my eyes, my auditory sense. With the Tesla, I almost feel like it becomes a living kind of extension of myself, which is a very hard thing to put into words, but it's something that you really have to feel.
The common experience for all the passengers in my car is holy crap.
It's not how fast the car goes, because every car goes fast. You just have to step on the accelerator. It's how fast you get it to go fast.
Every time I step on the torque pedal, it's my sheer joy.
It's more like pushing an elevator button. Snap to life, pull almost a G of acceleration off a stoplight.
It's impossible to describe to anyone what maximum torque at 0 RPM feels like. It's a roller coaster without rails.
It's the feeling you have inside that you know you're doing good while you're having fun.
most electric cars just lame. Like they were like three-wheel bubble things that were slow and just kind of silly, and not something you would ever want to try. What I love about Tesla is that they have turned that perception upside down, and that electric cars are the fastest and most desirable cars on the planet.
So those cars are still on the road. They don't make them anymore. They are coming out with a second version, which has 1,000 kilometers range and can go 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2.9 seconds. I've experienced half of that, and I think the brain hit the back of my skull, and I felt dizzy and nauseous afterwards. So I don't even think I could do that at my age, in my health. So, the story of my first electric car starts when 5 years later, in 2011, the Nissan Leaf, that is in some ways the first mass-produced electric car. They built a factory for it. They built 3 factories for it. Mine happens to come from Tennessee, where the 3rd year of the car was made. And yeah, so this film is quite optimistic, although it shows the hardship of what's going on. And by the way, when I was asked to do this, they said, hey, can you talk about driving in winter in Saskatchewan? I said, I've got 10 minutes I can do. And they said, can you do an hour? And I said, no. So I'm stretching here. I'm building up to the big 10-minute section about driving an electric car in winter, because you really can't do an hour. I could drive each of you around in winter for an hour and serve you some of the free coffee they have at the back. By the way, there's free coffee at the back. It's not rude to go get some if you want some. It will keep you awake. I actually fell asleep reviewing my slides this afternoon, so I expect it could happen to you as well, and I'm not blaming you. All right, so this is where my car came from. My car is one of the 4 cars covered in this film. They cover a Nissan, which bet the bank, the whole successful car company, on coming out with an electric car, because it cost them billions to do it. And it covers Elon getting his first Model S, which is a mass-produced sedan, full-size sedan, out at a premium car price, but not a supercar price or anything like that. So I'm going to show you the trailer for the film tonight, and you can decide whether you want to stick around for it. And we'll talk a little bit and give you some context as well.
This is the most secure location that we can find in the building. You notice we have plenty of security down here.
There's a degree of excitement around electric vehicles we hadn't seen before.
But somebody's got to be the first one out.
We need a lot of people trying a lot of different things, and then we see what emerges.
It's a race. It's a total race.
You know, until we see every car on the road being electric, we will not stop.
Oh, Elon's gonna lose his shirt. Elon's gonna get crushed.
God damn it, we got to get these cars out.
Things keep coming along from people outside the car business. They don't fall in their butts.
You didn't get the message. Give us the cars that we want.
I got the flood of emails saying, you sold out to the oil companies and you killed my grandchildren. I hope you rot in hell.
They've based their whole company strategy on it. If it fails, there might not be a Nissan.
You need to predict the future, prepare for it. If it happens, we'll be ready.
These are people who are not going to wait around to have the solution delivered to them.
I want to show the world that it's really possible.
This is the future, and it's attainable.
That's my last video clip. I'm going to get verklempt soon. Okay, the Nissan Leaf came out in 2011, and as soon as it did, I started waiting for it to become cheap, because as you know, I don't really have an income, not one that you can call consistent, working in the arts world and such, and selling myself on the street occasionally. So every year, myself and my friends would check Auto Trader to see across, because there weren't any in Saskatchewan. People in Vancouver and Quebec and maybe a couple in Toronto were buying them, and so every year I'd watch them go down in price, the used ones, and finally they got down to, started to see some $10,000 ones. And that's when I got excited, because I thought, hey, I can do that. And I pulled the trigger, got the wife involved, by consensus, some wine, and some pills, and we were all for it. So what got me to that day, you ask? You didn't ask, but I'll tell you. This is my starving artist history with cars. Maybe you can identify with this when you're younger, I don't know. So I see a tow truck and I get acid reflux. The biggest fear of anybody who doesn't have a lot of money is car cancer, aside from cancer itself, of course. But when you get that, your car just doesn't start one day or doesn't work, you get fearful, right? And I've had a lot of crappy cars. There's one. I had 3 versions of this sucker when I was young. My dad owned the first one, and I kept buying them because I thought they were reliable, and they kind of were, but cars in the 70s and 80s weren't really reliable, and I would pay $280 was my average paying price. One of them had a bent wheel, by the way. People would always honk at me and tell me, your wheel's gonna fall off, and I would say, it never did. It was stolen, eventually. This is one of the vehicles that I drive now, because we got into camping. We got into pulling a camper a few years ago, which is a big middle-class deal for us. It was like a portable cottage on wheels. And, so we needed something big to tow it. When we had our second child, our family in Alberta gave us a minivan, which was really terrible. It had a tow package on it, but it did not want to tow, not anything. And as a result, boiling transmission fluid would shoot out when I got to the campgrounds, and I had an environmental disaster every time I arrived for camping. So I bought this. Someone kindly scratched it with a key before I bought it, so I got a good deal on it. But it's 2003. It's a luxury vehicle, and it's got leather seats and all the accoutrements that you could possibly want. But it uses premium gas because the rich like to use premium gas, and it costs a lot of money to get from A to B. So this was our city car, and I was driving this around, taking the kids to soccer and their little jobs and things like that. It was a taxi service, and it was costing us a fortune. And you might wonder where I stand. I'll come out right now and tell you. I literally stand right next to a pipeline. My house is adjacent to a pipeline. And my neighbor, who has been there since they built it in '79, tells me that we're all going to die one day. He said the number of gases that are going through there are heavier than air, and we won't have any warning. We're all going to be incinerated. And every day, an airplane flies about yay high off the ground to inspect it to make sure we're not all going to die. We get special things in our mailbox. People come around and give us gifts because they want us to be happy pipeline neighbors. We actually do enjoy it, though. We fly kites on it and play soccer and basketball, and the Gophers dig holes, which makes me nervous. If they ever get into welding, it could be a problem. Now, we're downwind from the refinery. We're not too close to it, but by God, sometimes I wake up at 4 in the morning with my window open in the summer and my eyes are watering, and it's just crappy. So I am an environmentalist, not because of this, but I happen to be an environmentalist, but that's not why I bought an electric car, which is going to shock you. These are primarily the reasons that made me pull the trigger. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it just for the moral, ethical reasons. I'm a cheap bastard, I'm practical, and I like new technology. Those are the reasons I bought an electric car, not because it was the right thing to do. I didn't want to make any sacrifice in order to buy an electric car. I wasn't that strong-willed. So, I wanted to buy a better car and save money. I was interested in saving the planet, but that's a side effect. It's not the reason. I mean, if I wanted to truly save the planet, I wouldn't buy anything. I would buy a used bicycle and ride around on that. Of course, electric cars are better than gas cars, but that was my primary motivation, was that it was a wise investment. The most common misconception that I have found is that you're making a sacrifice to buy an electric car. The opposite is true. We have two cars now. We have a Toyota gas car and an electric car. And when it's cold and when it's warm, we fight over the electric car. The gas car is quite a bit newer. It's brand new. It's got the latest technology in it, but we prefer the electric car because it's better. And in fact, when I had to drive a Toyota Corolla a couple of weeks ago when we had an accident, man, the thing was a piece of crap. It's like one of the best-selling cars in the world. Highly reviewed, extremely reliable, but compared to my 2011 electric car, it is a sluggish, outdated piece of garbage from a century that has passed. You press the pedal and a whole bunch of things have to happen. A lot of mice have to get fed and they start pedaling on a wheel or something. So tonight, I'm not anti-environment, I'm pro-environment, but this isn't about the environment. Electric cars are, your decision to buy one, should you so choose, is not about the environment. You should understand what electric cars are and what they are not, okay? So, I want you to imagine something. I want you to come with me on a journey. So this is just like a film night. Some people came early thinking it was a film, it's just me. Stare into that circle. You staring? Okay. I want you to imagine that the air is clean, that there is no environmental crisis, the world is not ending. Bernier was right. Climate change is not an issue, not happening. Okay? I was worried when I made this line that people would forget about the election. I'm glad you haven't. New Delhi, clean air. On Friday, Swedish schoolgirls smoke meth. They don't go on strike for the climate. This is a little extreme. Thought my audience would be different, but okay. Usually I get meth people coming onto my thing. Can you smoke meth? Any meth users, put up your hands. Apparently, okay. The projectionist. That's what it's all projectionists smoke meth. That's a good. It's a stereotype, but it's true. So the rest of the presentation, I don't want you to think about climate change. I don't want you to think about electric cars or for the climate. They are because it is a technological improvement. Okay? The choice is not to make sacrifices. Here's our two cars side by side. This is a 2017 Prius, which was just rear-ended by a chain-smoking idiot on Sass Drive, and not a very pleasant man. His name is Bruce. Bruce, are you here tonight? Good. I have some more words for you. And we clipped a deer in Wyoming. The Prius is a great car. It is at the top of the Consumer Report's most reliable and most satisfied cars in the world. However, it is not an electric car. It just uses gas. We don't have the Prius that plugs in. Those are called plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. They have one of those now. I test drove it. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And the other one, of course, is the mid-sized SUV there, which is like driving a tank around. It's incredible what has to go on under the hood to move one of those things. So I found this sucker. This is it. My brother calls it the Batmobile. My brother's kind of a jerk. He meant it as a derogatory term, but of course the Batmobile is cool, and I took it as a compliment. So this is the 2013 Nissan Leaf. This is the third year of the car. They got some things worked out, some things were improved. And I bought the cheapest damn one I could find. It doesn't have a lot of the things that you would like. It doesn't have a backup camera. It doesn't have a quick charger port, which I can talk about later. And that's why I got it so cheap. It's considered a mid-size hatchback in Canada. It's got about 120 kilometers of range, 129 by the Environmental Protection Agency official ruling. It's got a battery that is the size of 24 kilowatt hours. A kilowatt hour is 1,000 watts for an hour. So it has 24,000 watts for 1 hour or 1,000 watts for 24 hours, however you want to look at it. And it seats 5, including my rotten kids. And yeah. This is the second generation. They've made it less wacky looking. This came out a couple of years ago, and believe it or not, I think they fit a 40 kilowatt hour battery in there, so it's practically twice the battery in the same battery compartment. That's where the technology of batteries is going. It's the same size. The car structure hasn't changed. The battery is the same size for 40 kilowatts. So they're putting more batteries in the same space, and they're improving the amount of energy that those batteries can hold. And it's going slow. There's baby steps in improvement in batteries. We're all hoping for a big battery breakthrough. If we ever get one, we'll have electric planes and electric everything. We're not that far off. All it takes is a breakthrough, I think. So, I'm going to use my laser pointer now. That's my car. This is the best Tesla Model S. Tesla website says it's 600 kilometer range, and they've announced 1,000 kilometer range. So basically, you've got about practically 10 times improvement in range over the last not too many years, really. 10 years, 10 times increase. And remember, batteries are going down about 20% a year, which means a lot. And any problems that with electric cars that are will be solved by that cost curve continuing to go down. The Tesla pickup truck, which I know you all pre-ordered, has 800 kilometers of range on the high end, and you can see already that the cost of ownership is less than equivalent vehicles already. So you may have the misconception that electric cars are expensive. If you do the numbers, which I'll talk about in a minute as well, they're actually worth buying now. So there's a company in Quebec that is taking the batteries out of the new Nissan Leafs that are crashing, and because the batteries are fine, and putting it in the old Nissan Leafs like mine. So because they are the same size battery, you are getting a ridiculous amount of range that wasn't there before. So yeah, I use my car as with the 120 kilometers that came with it from the factory, I'm using my car as a city car. We're not going beyond Lumsden or Balgony, for example. This is my opinion on replacing batteries. Most people say, well, can you replace the battery? I don't think anyone's going to ever replace the battery. I have one of the worst batteries ever put in an electric car, and I expect mine to last far beyond my car. So here's the cost of an electric car that I get. This is part of the presentation for my wife. This is from the EPA website, where you can customize it. You can see that the SUV that I was going to replace is a city car. By the way, I still have the SUV. I just played it in the summertime, and I pulled the camper with it, so it's not gone completely, but it is semi-retired. So it was 15.7 liters of fuel, premium fuel, per 100 kilometers. And my car uses the equivalent of 1.9 per 100 kilometers. You can see that's a bit different, right? So down here, this is based on the average car. The average car would be like a RAV4, something like 8 liters, 8 point something liters per 100 kilometers. So this would mean over 5 years, I would spend 13,000. This is the Canadian gas prices too, by the way. Everything's been customized. Electricity prices as well. I would spend $13,750 over 5 years, more than the average car. The electric car would save me $3,200 over 5 years, over the average car. So I spent $11,000, including shipping, on the car, and this is a used old car, by the way. And yeah, so those are huge numbers. $17,000 over 5 years is what I would save by buying the car. So I would still I'm saving $6,000 and I get a free car. So the EV that I've wanted since I was 1 was free. And I got a $6,000 bonus to tell my wife that we could do something with that. Plus, that's not even including the fact that electric cars don't have oil. You don't change the oil, you don't change the timing belts because there's no timing belts. You don't change the spark plugs, there's no spark plugs. There's a battery and a motor and a couple of other things, and they all last forever. So there is no maintenance in an electric car, which is my primary reason for buying one, because I'm cheap, right? I don't want to fix cars. I don't want it to break down. Electric cars are reliable in that way. The only thing I replaced in my car after 3 years is a windshield wiper in the back. So it was like $8. This, oh, there is one more video. Thank God I can get a drink. This is the unloading of my car. My dream come true. It means nothing to you people, but I'm going to show you anyway. This is it coming from a couple of gentlemen from Quebec. Surly as they were, this is them unloading my car. The first guy on my block to get an electric car. Boy, were the neighbors looking. Can't see them, but they're all looking. They took on a high-speed motorcycle before this. They thought I was getting a motorcycle too, which is great. James is having a midlife crisis. Then his little practical convertible comes out, or his practical hatchback. There it is. So, I really had this dream of owning an electric vehicle my whole stinking life, as far as I can remember, and there it is. So, this is the deal, up to 129 kilometers range. My dash, which means nothing, says 135. The dash estimate is notoriously bad in our car. If it was completely dead, which you're not supposed to do, but if it was completely dead, had zero battery, and you want to charge it all the way to 100%, which most people don't do, it would take 7 hours on a 240 volt plug-in. So that's kind of like your dryer plug or your plug for your oven. It's a different plug, it's not your normal plug. All cars come with a normal plug, and that charges a lot slower. That charges about 7 kilometers an hour. Most of the time, though, I'm charging for a couple of hours at most, because I'm not empty, right? I go for a while, I charge it every night, like my cell phone. I have a slow charger on my car. The cars that are out now charge twice as fast. So I get about 25 kilometers per hour in the summertime charging. So if I come home, I can plug it in the middle of the day, and I'll come out and the gas tank is fuller than it was when I left, which is wonderful. You don't know how wonderful it is not to go to a gas station unless you have a gambling addiction for lottery tickets. So it's got heated seats, heated steering wheel. All this is important in electric cars, so you use less heat because you have to make your own heat in an electric car. This is me. We use it for everything. We don't fool around. This car is a workhorse for our family. This is us getting a Christmas tree last year. My wife and I did the same thing yesterday. My picture from yesterday didn't turn out as well. That's a 9-foot Christmas tree. So it's not like this car is being babied and, hey, look, it's an electric car. It is a car that's used for everything. Taking home furniture, bedding plants, trees, everything. And it's dirty. That's my son, very proud of him. Last Thursday, he got his driver's license, passed his road test in an electric car. We think he's the first person in Regina to do that. And the instructor was quite confused. He kept yelling at him to turn on the car. And of course, when you turn on an electric car, nothing happens. Just some lights on the dashboard come on. It's not like anything starts. So that was confusing, but it helped him pass, I think. So I got to quickly talk about the things that people are frequently asking me. How much does your electricity bill go up? Good question. Any guesses?
$20.
$20? Anyone else?
$1, Bob.
$1? You're not helping.
Depends on how many miles you put on.
17,000 a year.
$17,000 a year?
17,000 kilometers per year.
How much does your electricity bill go up?
That's my question. How much does my electricity bill go up from having an electric car? I'm just going to tell you, okay? It's about $29. It goes up probably some more in the wintertime when you're heating it off the grid, off your household outlet, because you're, well, we'll see about that later, okay? I think that people who drive SUVs, I tried to get some information. Does anyone here own a Model X? No Model X owners? No rich people? Okay. Model X, I think, is the biggest, heaviest EV out there, and I've heard $50 a month for electricity if you don't want that. Have I ever run out of gas? Which is electrons, by the way. That's the biggest fear, isn't it? Is the range anxiety. Who's heard of range anxiety, the expression? Okay. Now, I've had, the worst I had was 18 kilometers left, and they say that the car actually has more than it says because it doesn't want you to be stranded. Regina is 18 kilometers long. Has it ever started in winter? No, it's always started in winter. That's why I'm here, right? Stupid question. Shame on you for asking. Where do you charge it, James? I get that a lot. I charge it at home. Because why not? You don't take your cell phone to a gas station to charge it. Why would you charge anywhere else but home? Home sweet home, while I'm sleeping. And this is how people feel, electric car owners, about charging. At home, it's a really good experience because it takes 2 seconds, and let's face it, you're plugging in your car anyway in the wintertime, right? So you're plugging this sucker in anyway, and you wake up with more gas than you wake up with a full tank.